Hello everyone, and welcome back to our channel. I am so glad you could join me today, because we are about to dive into a story that is both deeply human and truly thought-provoking. Life, as we all know, is full of unexpected twists and turns. Some days bring us moments of joy and accomplishment, while others challenge us with obstacles that seem insurmountable. These experiences, whether joyful or difficult, shape the people we become. Today's story is a vivid reminder that even in moments of uncertainty or struggle, there is always an opportunity to learn, grow, and discover something meaningful about ourselves. Before we get into the story itself, I want you to take a moment to consider your own life. Think about the times when you faced challenges, big or small, and how they influenced the choices you made afterward. Perhaps there were moments of hesitation, fear, or even doubt. Maybe there were times when you felt lost, unsure of which path to take, or overwhelmed by the weight of expectations. We all experience these feelings, yet it is precisely in those moments that we have the chance to reflect, to understand our priorities, and to recognize the strength within us that we might not have known existed. The story we are about to share is not just about one individual. It is a reflection of universal experiences that resonate with each of us. It is about the delicate balance between ambition and happiness, between striving for success and nurturing meaningful relationships. It is a story that reminds us that life is not only about reaching milestones or achieving goals, but also about the journey itself, the small, often overlooked moments that make life rich and fulfilling. Whether it is a quiet conversation with a friend, a moment of introspection, or an unexpected act of kindness, these seemingly ordinary experiences often carry extraordinary significance. As we explore this story together, I invite you to think about the lessons it offers, not merely as distant observations, but as insights you can apply in your own life. Every challenge, setback, and triumph in this narrative serves as a mirror, reflecting back the choices we make and the values we hold dear. It is through these reflections that we gain a deeper understanding of what truly matters, helping us navigate our own paths with greater clarity and purpose. Life may not always follow the plans we set for ourselves, but within the unpredictability lies an opportunity to learn resilience, patience, and compassion. Moreover, this story is an encouragement to embrace change, even when it feels uncomfortable or uncertain. Many of us resist stepping outside our comfort zones, fearing the unknown or worrying about failure. Yet personal growth rarely occurs without some level of discomfort. By observing the experiences of others, we can gain perspective on our own fears, understand the importance of perseverance, and recognize that the most rewarding moments often come after overcoming significant challenges. The protagonist's journey highlights how courage, reflection, and persistence can transform obstacles into opportunities for growth. Throughout this narrative, we will witness moments of joy, moments of difficulty, and everything in between. We will explore decisions that carry weight, relationships that are tested, and circumstances that demand introspection. The story unfolds in a way that is both relatable and inspiring, reminding us that life is rarely linear. Rather, it is composed of a series of interconnected events, each shaping our understanding of ourselves and the world around us. As you listen, consider how your own experiences echo these themes, and reflect on the lessons you might carry forward in your own journey. Finally, I encourage you to engage with this story not just passively but actively. Ask yourself, what would I do in similar circumstances? How have my own choices shaped the path I am on today? What lessons can I take from the challenges I have faced? These reflections are what transform storytelling from mere entertainment into a meaningful experience that can guide our thinking, inspire action, and cultivate empathy. By the end of this journey, I hope you will not only have enjoyed a compelling narrative but also gained insights that resonate in your own life, helping you approach each day with greater awareness, gratitude, and courage. So, let us begin this story together, with open hearts and minds, ready to explore the experiences, choices, and lessons that await us. Whether you are here to seek inspiration, find guidance, or simply enjoy a rich human story, there is something in this journey for everyone. Sit back, relax, and let us dive into the narrative, uncovering not just the events themselves, but the deeper truths hidden within. This is a story of life, of growth, and of understanding, and I am excited to share it with all of you today. As we move deeper into the story, we encounter the early stages of the protagonist's journey, where ambition and expectation begin to take shape. Life often places us at crossroads, presenting choices that seem straightforward at first, yet carry profound consequences. In these moments, the decisions we make, sometimes carefully considered, sometimes impulsive, can set the trajectory of our lives in ways we cannot immediately foresee. For our protagonist, this was a time of hope and aspiration, filled with dreams that glimmered brightly, yet also shadowed by the weight of uncertainty and the pressure to meet external expectations. At the heart of this stage is the balance between personal desire and the responsibilities imposed by circumstances. Many of us can relate to the feeling of wanting to pursue something meaningful, yet simultaneously being aware of the sacrifices or adjustments required to achieve it. Whether it is choosing a career path, committing to a relationship, or pursuing a passion, the choices we face are rarely simple. Our protagonist's experiences mirror these universal dilemmas, showing us that ambition without reflection can lead to missteps, while cautious consideration can sometimes delay opportunities. The tension between eagerness and prudence is a delicate dance, one that defines the character's early development and sets the stage for the events that follow. During this period, the protagonist also encounters relationships that are both nurturing and challenging. Friends, mentors, and even casual acquaintances play pivotal roles, influencing perspectives and shaping decisions. These interactions highlight the importance of the social environment in guiding our choices. A kind word or constructive advice at the right moment can inspire confidence and clarity, while misunderstandings or misjudgments can introduce doubt and hesitation. Observing the protagonist's navigation of these relationships allows us to reflect on our own networks, the people we trust, and the sources of support or distraction in our lives. It emphasizes that growth is rarely a solitary journey. The influence of others, for better or worse, is undeniable. Moreover, this stage of the story illustrates the learning that comes from initial setbacks. Not every endeavor succeeds, and the early phases of any journey are often marked by trial and error. The protagonist faces moments where plans do not unfold as intended, and these experiences serve as lessons in resilience and adaptability. Life has a way of testing patience and perseverance, and it is through encountering obstacles that we discover the depths of our determination and creativity. Each challenge, no matter how small, is an opportunity to reassess goals, refine strategies, and cultivate inner strength. This principle is especially relevant to us as viewers, because it reminds us that failure is not a permanent state, but a necessary component of growth and learning. The narrative also explores the internal dialogue that accompanies ambition. There is often a quiet tension between the comfort of the familiar and the excitement of pursuing something new. Our protagonist wrestles with self-doubt, questions of worthiness, and the fear of making the wrong choice. These emotions are profoundly human and resonate with anyone who has faced significant life decisions. By witnessing this internal struggle, we gain insight into the complexity of decision-making, the importance of self-awareness, and the courage required to step forward, even when certainty is unattainable. It underscores that personal growth is not merely about external achievements, but also about developing the capacity to navigate our inner world with honesty and compassion. As the story unfolds, we also see how small, deliberate actions can create momentum. Decisions that may seem minor at first, such as dedicating time to a skill, fostering a particular relationship, or setting clear priorities, gradually accumulate, leading to meaningful outcomes. This reflects a fundamental truth: progress is often incremental, and consistent effort, guided by reflection and intention, is more powerful than occasional bursts of enthusiasm. Our protagonist's early choices, though sometimes fraught with hesitation, begin to lay the foundation for future opportunities and successes. Finally, the second stage of this journey emphasizes the importance of perspective. Challenges and setbacks, when viewed with a thoughtful mindset, provide clarity about what truly matters. The protagonist learns to differentiate between superficial desires and deeply held values, recognizing that fulfillment comes not merely from achievement, but from alignment with purpose, and integrity. This insight encourages viewers to consider their own priorities, evaluate the paths they are pursuing, and remain mindful of the broader context of their actions. Life is a series of interconnected experiences, and understanding the significance of each moment allows us to navigate our journey with greater wisdom and intention. By the end of this stage, the protagonist is no longer the same as at the beginning. Growth has begun, not always in ways that are immediately visible, but in subtle shifts of awareness, confidence, and resilience. The challenges faced, the relationships navigated, and the choices made all contribute to a richer understanding of self and the Quonikan's world. For the audience, this segment of the story serves as both inspiration and guidance, illustrating that early decisions, reflection, and perseverance are essential building blocks for the path ahead. In essence, the second stage of this journey is about laying the groundwork for what is to come. It is a period of learning, exploration, and self-discovery, filled with moments of both doubt and clarity. It reminds us that life's progress is not always dramatic or immediate, but steady and deliberate. By observing the protagonist's experiences, we can gain insights into our own lives, recognizing that patience, reflection, and intentionality are invaluable tools in navigating the complexities of ambition, relationships, and personal growth. As the journey progresses, the protagonist enters a phase where challenges become more pronounced, and the stakes feel increasingly personal. Life, as we often find, rarely follows a linear path, and this part of the story reflects the complexity and unpredictability that accompany growth and ambition. It is a time when previous lessons are tested, when the outcomes of earlier choices start to manifest, and when external pressures meet internal aspirations in sometimes surprising ways. The protagonist begins to encounter situations that demand resilience, discernment, and courage, qualities that had only been developing in subtle ways during earlier stages. During this phase, the protagonist faces conflicts that are both internal and external. Internal struggles involve reconciling desires, fears, and values. External struggles emerge through interactions with others, societal expectations, and unforeseen circumstances. These dual pressures can be overwhelming, yet they provide an essential arena for testing character. Observing the protagonist navigate these conflicts highlights the importance of adaptability, patience, and emotional intelligence. It reminds us that personal growth is rarely smooth. Often, it is forged in the tension between aspiration and reality, ambition and limitation. Relationships continue to play a pivotal role, but their nature becomes more complex. The protagonist encounters individuals whose intentions may not be immediately clear, and situations where trust must be weighed carefully. These experiences underscore the importance of discernment and the recognition that not every connection will be beneficial. Some interactions bring encouragement and opportunity, while others present challenges that provoke self-reflection or caution. Through these encounters, the protagonist learns that human relationships are intricate and layered, and that understanding the motivations of others is a skill that can greatly influence one's trajectory. Additionally, this stage emphasizes the value of perseverance in the face of setbacks. Obstacles, whether small or substantial, are inevitable, and the protagonist experiences moments of doubt, frustration, and uncertainty. Yet these trials serve as catalysts for growth. Each challenge provides an opportunity to reassess strategies, refine goals, and cultivate resilience. The story illustrates that persistence is not merely about stubbornness or blind determination. It involves thoughtful reflection, learning from mistakes, and adjusting approaches when necessary. This principle resonates universally. Life's progress is rarely linear, and the capacity to persevere while remaining flexible is a hallmark of enduring success. The narrative also explores moments of introspection and self-discovery. Confronted with difficult decisions and complex situations, the protagonist begins to gain deeper insight into personal strengths, weaknesses, and values. These revelations are often subtle, manifesting as increased confidence in some areas and humility in others. By observing this internal evolution, viewers can relate to the universal process of understanding oneself more profoundly through lived experiences. It highlights that personal development is not only about external accomplishments, but also about cultivating awareness, integrity, and authenticity. Another critical element of this stage is the recognition of timing and opportunity. The protagonist learns that not every challenge requires immediate action, and that patience can sometimes be more powerful than impulsive responses. This realization encourages strategic thinking, the anticipation of potential outcomes, and a measured approach to decision-making. Life often rewards those who can balance initiative with foresight, and the protagonist's journey illustrates how thoughtful timing can create opportunities that might otherwise be missed. In parallel, the story delves into the emotional complexity of ambition. Achievements, setbacks, and interpersonal dynamics stir a range of feelings, from excitement and pride to anxiety and regret. The protagonist's emotional journey is an integral part of the narrative, demonstrating how self-awareness and emotional management are crucial for navigating challenges effectively. By witnessing these emotional fluctuations, viewers gain insight into the intricate interplay between mind and heart, ambition and fear, action and reflection. The narrative further highlights the significance of incremental progress. Small, deliberate steps, consistent effort, and careful attention to detail begin to compound, producing meaningful outcomes over time. The protagonist's persistence in developing skills, nurturing relationships, and making thoughtful decisions gradually builds a foundation for long-term success. This aspect of the story reinforces an important lesson: meaningful achievements rarely emerge overnight. They are cultivated through patience, consistency, and deliberate action. Moreover, the story emphasizes the importance of perspective. Challenges, when viewed through a reflective and open mindset, become sources of insight and growth. The protagonist starts to recognize that temporary setbacks are not failures but opportunities to learn, adapt, and refine approaches. This shift in perspective fosters resilience and clarity, enabling more effective navigation of future challenges. It underscores that the way we interpret experiences significantly influences our capacity to learn, grow, and thrive. By the end of this phase, the protagonist demonstrates noticeable growth, not only in skills and knowledge, but also in character and emotional maturity. Experiences, both positive and challenging, have shaped a more nuanced understanding of self and the world. Viewers are invited to reflect on their own journeys, recognizing that growth is a continuous process, shaped by choices, challenges, relationships, and self-reflection. The story conveys that personal evolution is an intricate and ongoing endeavor, where persistence, insight, and adaptability play central roles. In essence, this stage of the journey is defined by the deepening of understanding, the testing of resilience, and the cultivation of emotional intelligence. The protagonist's experiences offer guidance and inspiration, illustrating that life's complexities are opportunities for learning and development. By navigating challenges thoughtfully, reflecting on experiences, and maintaining integrity, one can build a foundation that supports continued growth and prepares for the stages ahead. This phase of the journey reminds us that life's progression is rarely straightforward, but through resilience, reflection, and deliberate effort, we can navigate complexities and emerge stronger, wiser, and more capable. The protagonist's experiences provide both a narrative of personal evolution and a mirror for viewers, encouraging them to embrace challenges, learn from experiences, and pursue their aspirations with both courage and mindfulness. As the journey unfolds, the protagonist finds that navigating relationships becomes even more intricate. At this stage, interactions with friends, colleagues, and mentors start to reveal hidden complexities that were not immediately apparent before. Every conversation, gesture, and decision carries weight, shaping the protagonist's path in subtle yet profound ways. It is a period where awareness and sensitivity become crucial. Understanding the perspectives and emotions of others can mean the difference between success and unnecessary conflict. This part of the journey demonstrates that interpersonal skills are as essential as talent, knowledge, or ambition when it comes to achieving meaningful goals. During this phase, the protagonist encounters challenges that test loyalty, trust, and communication. Some individuals may not have entirely transparent motives, while others might unintentionally create misunderstandings. Through these experiences, the protagonist learns that clear communication, active listening, and empathy are vital tools for navigating complex social dynamics. It becomes evident that success is not only built on personal effort, but also on the ability to form mutually beneficial relationships and maintain harmony in collaborative endeavors. These lessons, while sometimes hard-earned, are invaluable and contribute to long-term personal and professional growth. Additionally, the narrative delves into the protagonist's evolving sense of responsibility. With greater opportunities come greater expectations from oneself and from those around. The protagonist starts to recognize that decisions now have wider consequences, affecting not only immediate outcomes, but also the long-term trajectory of both personal and shared goals. This realization encourages careful thought, ethical consideration, and a measured approach to decision-making. By facing these responsibilities, the protagonist matures, developing the foresight and judgment necessary to navigate increasingly complex scenarios. Another prominent theme at this stage is the balancing act between ambition and well-being. The protagonist begins to understand that relentless pursuit of goals, without attention to personal health, emotional balance, and meaningful connections, can lead to burnout and disillusionment. Through trial and reflection, the importance of self-care, time management, and maintaining emotional equilibrium becomes clear. The story underscores that sustainable growth requires nurturing both professional and personal dimensions of life, highlighting the interconnectedness of success, happiness, and resilience. Moreover, this part of the journey emphasizes the value of adaptability in the face of unforeseen changes. Life rarely unfolds exactly as planned, and the protagonist experiences situations that demand flexibility and creative problem-solving. Unexpected challenges may initially cause frustration or doubt, yet they also provide opportunities for learning and innovation. The protagonist discovers that the ability to pivot gracefully, reassess priorities, and embrace new perspectives is a key determinant of continued progress. Viewers can relate to this universal lesson, recognizing that adaptability often turns potential setbacks into stepping stones for growth. The narrative also explores moments of introspection, where the protagonist reflects on past actions, successes, and mistakes. These contemplative moments are critical for deepening self-awareness and understanding the patterns that influence behavior and decision-making. By analyzing past experiences thoughtfully, the protagonist can make more informed choices moving forward. This reflective practice highlights a central theme: personal evolution is fueled not just by external achievements, but by continuous self-examination and learning from every experience, no matter how challenging or ordinary it may seem. Emotional intelligence emerges as a key factor in navigating this stage. The protagonist encounters situations requiring patience, empathy, and strategic emotional responses. Managing personal emotions while simultaneously understanding and responding to the feelings of others becomes a skill that is both protective and empowering. The story demonstrates that emotional maturity is not innate. It is cultivated through lived experience, reflection, and intentional practice. By mastering this skill, the protagonist strengthens relationships, builds trust, and lays the groundwork for more profound and meaningful connections. During this phase, the narrative also highlights the importance of persistence and resilience. Obstacles and setbacks are inevitable, but they serve as catalysts for growth and adaptation. The protagonist learns that perseverance is not about stubbornly pushing forward regardless of circumstances. It is about maintaining commitment to long-term goals while remaining open to learning and adjusting strategies as needed. This nuanced understanding of resilience reinforces the idea that enduring success involves a balance of determination, flexibility, and strategic thinking. The story further underscores the significance of mentorship and guidance. Throughout this stage, the protagonist benefits from the wisdom, advice, and support of those who have navigated similar paths. Mentors provide perspective, encouragement, and constructive critique, helping to illuminate options and potential pitfalls. The narrative portrays how actively seeking and valuing mentorship can accelerate learning, reduce unnecessary errors, and expand understanding of both personal and professional landscapes. It serves as a reminder that growth is rarely a solitary endeavor, and that leveraging the knowledge of experienced individuals is a powerful tool. Another key element is the realization that achievements, no matter how significant, are part of an ongoing journey rather than a final destination. The protagonist begins to appreciate that each accomplishment opens doors to new challenges and opportunities for growth. This perspective encourages a mindset of continuous improvement and lifelong learning, emphasizing that personal development is an evolving process. By embracing this philosophy, the protagonist cultivates humility, curiosity, and a proactive approach to future opportunities. The narrative also examines how setbacks can be reframed as learning experiences. Moments of failure or disappointment are not merely obstacles, they are invitations to analyze what went wrong, identify areas for improvement, and refine approaches. The protagonist begins to internalize the idea that mistakes, when approached constructively, become powerful tools for growth. This mindset fosters resilience, adaptability, and confidence, reinforcing the notion that challenges are integral to a meaningful journey rather than signs of inadequacy. By the end of this stage, the protagonist demonstrates significant personal growth, with increased emotional intelligence, resilience, and a nuanced understanding of human dynamics. The experiences encountered reinforce that life is a complex interplay of choices, relationships, and circumstances, and that thoughtful navigation of these elements is essential for long-term success. Viewers are invited to reflect on their own journeys, recognizing that growth involves both external achievements and internal development, and that perseverance, reflection, and adaptability are key to achieving meaningful progress. Ultimately, this phase of the journey reinforces a universal truth. Navigating the complexities of life requires a harmonious blend of skill, emotional awareness, and resilience. The protagonist's experiences provide both a narrative of evolution and a source of inspiration, demonstrating that challenges are opportunities to learn, adapt, and thrive. By facing obstacles thoughtfully, reflecting deeply, and cultivating meaningful connections, one can continue to grow with purpose, wisdom, and confidence. As the journey progresses, the protagonist begins to encounter moments that demand not only skill and emotional intelligence, but also courage and decisiveness. These instances often emerge unexpectedly, testing both character and conviction. Whether facing critical choices in personal relationships or professional endeavors, the protagonist realizes that hesitation or indecision can carry consequences that extend far beyond the immediate moment. It is during this phase that the importance of self-trust and clarity of purpose becomes increasingly evident. By learning to listen to inner guidance while weighing external factors, the protagonist navigates challenges with greater confidence and intentionality. At this stage, the narrative delves into the protagonist's growing awareness of influence and responsibility. Every action, whether small or significant, has the potential to impact others in meaningful ways. Recognizing this, the protagonist begins to approach decisions with both mindfulness and foresight. The story highlights that leadership, even in informal contexts, is not simply about authority or direction. It is about inspiring, supporting, and empowering others while maintaining integrity and respect. This realization encourages a more thoughtful and measured approach to interactions, emphasizing that influence carries both opportunity and obligation. The protagonist also faces situations that require moral discernment and ethical judgment. Encounters with ambiguous circumstances, conflicting interests, or morally complex dilemmas reveal the subtle challenges of decision-making. The narrative illustrates that integrity is tested not only in moments of visible scrutiny, but also in quiet, private choices that define character. By navigating these situations with honesty, reflection, and courage, the protagonist strengthens personal values and gains the respect and trust of peers. This part of the journey reinforces that true growth is intertwined with the development of ethical awareness and a steadfast commitment to doing what is right, even when it is difficult. Another central theme in this phase is the cultivation of resilience through emotional challenges. The protagonist experiences moments of doubt, disappointment, and frustration, which serve as catalysts for deeper self-understanding and growth. Rather than viewing setbacks solely as obstacles, the protagonist begins to embrace them as opportunities to build patience, perseverance, and adaptability. By reflecting on these experiences and extracting meaningful lessons, the protagonist gains a stronger sense of self, enhanced coping strategies, and a more nuanced understanding of the unpredictable nature of life. This approach fosters a mindset that turns potential stumbling blocks into stepping stones for continued progress. The narrative emphasizes the interplay between personal ambition and the well-being of others. The protagonist begins to understand that pursuing goals in isolation, without consideration for the broader impact on relationships and communities, can lead to isolation and unintended harm. By balancing self-interest with empathy and collaboration, The protagonist learns to achieve meaningful outcomes while maintaining harmonious connections. This stage illustrates that success is most fulfilling when it includes both personal achievement and positive contributions to the lives of others, highlighting the importance of compassion and mutual support. Additionally, the protagonist encounters opportunities that encourage creative problem-solving and innovative thinking. Challenges arise that cannot be solved by conventional methods alone, prompting the protagonist to explore alternative strategies and unconventional perspectives. The narrative demonstrates that curiosity, open-mindedness, and a willingness to experiment are critical tools for overcoming complex obstacles. By embracing creativity and flexibility, the protagonist discovers new possibilities, strengthens adaptability, and cultivates the confidence to approach future challenges with ingenuity. Self-reflection continues to play a central role in this stage. The protagonist spends time evaluating past decisions, assessing their outcomes, and considering alternative approaches. This reflective practice deepens self-awareness and fosters the ability to learn from both successes and mistakes. Through this process, the protagonist recognizes patterns of behavior, emotional triggers, and effective strategies, all of which contribute to more informed and deliberate choices moving forward. The narrative emphasizes that personal growth is a continuous cycle of action, reflection, and adaptation, reinforcing the importance of lifelong learning. As the story unfolds, relationships take on greater depth and complexity. The protagonist develops a heightened sensitivity to the needs, emotions, and perspectives of others, enabling stronger connections and more meaningful interactions. The narrative explores how trust, empathy, and consistent support form the foundation of enduring relationships, whether in friendships, mentorships, or romantic partnerships. By investing in these connections and nurturing mutual understanding, the protagonist experiences a sense of fulfillment and belonging that enhances both personal and professional life. The narrative also underscores the significance of setting boundaries and maintaining personal integrity. The protagonist learns that saying no when necessary, asserting personal values, and protecting emotional well-being are essential for sustaining balance and resilience. Through these experiences, the protagonist gains a clearer understanding of priorities, learns to manage energy and focus effectively, and cultivates the confidence to maintain autonomy without compromising relationships. This phase highlights that respecting oneself is as important as respecting others, and that healthy boundaries enable more sustainable growth and meaningful engagement. Persistence and strategic patience emerge as critical themes. The protagonist comes to understand that certain goals require sustained effort over time, and that progress may be gradual rather than immediate. By embracing patience and maintaining consistent effort, while remaining attentive to opportunities and adjustments, the protagonist achieves outcomes that are both significant and lasting. The narrative illustrates that enduring success is often the result of steady commitment, resilience in the face of adversity, and thoughtful navigation of complex circumstances. Mentorship and collaboration continue to play an influential role. The protagonist seeks guidance, shares insights, and engages in collaborative problem-solving, recognizing that collective wisdom often leads to more robust solutions than isolated effort. Through these interactions, the protagonist strengthens communication skills, expands perspectives, and gains confidence in both giving and receiving support. The narrative highlights that personal achievement is enriched by community, and that collaborative engagement fosters growth, creativity, and shared success. Finally, this stage reflects the protagonist's growing appreciation for the interconnectedness of experiences, relationships, and personal growth. Each decision, challenge, and interaction contributes to a broader narrative of development, shaping character, resilience, and purpose. The protagonist learns that meaningful progress is not measured solely by tangible achievements, but also by the depth of understanding, the strength of relationships, and the capacity to adapt, reflect, and thrive. Viewers are invited to draw inspiration from this journey, recognizing that life's complexities offer opportunities for growth, insight, and fulfillment when approached with mindfulness, courage, and intention. Ultimately, this phase reinforces the idea that personal evolution is multifaceted, encompassing emotional intelligence, ethical discernment, resilience, creativity, and meaningful relationships. By embracing challenges with awareness and adaptability, the protagonist continues to develop a foundation for lasting fulfillment, demonstrating that growth is an ongoing journey shaped by both external experiences and internal reflection. As the protagonist moves forward in the journey, a new dimension of challenges and opportunities unfolds, emphasizing the importance of adaptability and strategic foresight. At this stage, the narrative highlights that life rarely follows a straight path. Unexpected circumstances and evolving dynamics demand flexibility, quick thinking, and the ability to adjust plans without losing sight of core goals. The protagonist learns that rigid adherence to a fixed plan can be limiting, while a balanced approach, one that maintains direction yet allows room for adjustment, creates the conditions for sustained growth and success. This phase emphasizes the significance of observation and active listening. By paying close attention to subtle cues in social, professional, and personal contexts, the protagonist gains valuable insights that inform better decision-making. The narrative shows that awareness is more than just seeing or hearing. It involves understanding underlying patterns, anticipating potential outcomes, and discerning opportunities that others might overlook. Developing this skill allows the protagonist to respond effectively to shifting circumstances, maintain composure in uncertainty, and make choices that align with both immediate needs and long-term objectives. Throughout this stage, the protagonist encounters situations requiring negotiation, compromise, and diplomacy. Conflicting interests, differing perspectives, and complex interpersonal dynamics present opportunities to practice tact, empathy, and strategic communication. The narrative illustrates that effective negotiation is not about winning at the expense of others, but about finding mutually beneficial solutions while preserving trust and respect. By cultivating these skills, the protagonist strengthens relationships, reduces friction, and creates environments in which collaboration and cooperation can thrive. The story also explores the value of cultivating a growth-oriented mindset. The protagonist faces challenges that initially seem daunting or even insurmountable, but by approaching them with curiosity, perseverance, and a willingness to learn, growth becomes possible. The narrative emphasizes that setbacks are not failures, but learning experiences, each offering insight into what strategies work, what adjustments are needed, and how resilience can be strengthened. This perspective encourages viewers to see difficulties as opportunities for development, rather than obstacles to progress. Decision-making during this stage often involves balancing competing priorities. The protagonist must weigh short-term gains against long-term benefits, personal desires against collective well-being, and ambition against ethical considerations. Through thoughtful reflection and careful evaluation, the protagonist learns to prioritize effectively, make informed choices, and accept that some compromises are necessary without compromising core values. This part of the journey reinforces the importance of mindfulness, intentionality, and alignment with personal principles in all areas of life. An important aspect of this phase is the deepening of self-confidence and self-efficacy. By successfully navigating complex scenarios, overcoming challenges, and witnessing the tangible impact of deliberate action, the protagonist strengthens belief in their own abilities. The narrative demonstrates that self-confidence is built gradually through experience, reflection, and consistent effort rather than through sudden achievements or external validation. This internal growth provides a foundation for future challenges, enabling the protagonist to approach new situations with courage and resilience. Relationships continue to play a critical role in shaping experiences. The protagonist learns that support networks, mentors, and trusted allies are invaluable sources of guidance, encouragement, and perspective. By investing in these relationships and nurturing mutual understanding, the protagonist gains access to collective wisdom, diverse viewpoints, and emotional support that enhance decision-making and problem-solving capabilities. The narrative underscores that while individual effort is essential, collaboration and connection often amplify the potential for success. Another key theme in this stage is the effective management of resources, time, energy, attention, and emotional capacity. The protagonist recognizes that these resources are finite and that careful allocation is essential to achieving meaningful results while maintaining well-being. The story illustrates that prioritizing high-impact activities, setting boundaries, and focusing attention strategically can increase productivity and satisfaction, allowing for both achievement and personal fulfillment. Innovation and creativity emerge as crucial tools for addressing novel challenges. The protagonist encounters situations where conventional approaches are insufficient, prompting the exploration of inventive solutions and unconventional strategies. By embracing experimentation, adaptability, and imaginative thinking, the protagonist discovers new pathways, solves complex problems, and unlocks opportunities that might otherwise remain hidden. This phase emphasizes that creativity is not limited to artistic pursuits, but is a practical and transformative skill applicable in all areas of life. The narrative also explores the integration of lessons from past experiences. The protagonist draws on previous successes, setbacks, and reflections to inform current decisions and anticipate future scenarios. This synthesis of experience and insight fosters strategic foresight, reduces the likelihood of repeating mistakes, and enhances the capacity for informed, deliberate action. The story reinforces that learning is cumulative, and that thoughtful reflection on history, both personal and observed, is a powerful tool for navigating the present and shaping the future. Emotional intelligence becomes increasingly central. The protagonist develops heightened awareness of personal emotions and those of others, recognizing that empathy, emotional regulation, and social awareness are essential for effective leadership, collaboration, and personal growth. The narrative demonstrates that understanding emotional dynamics can prevent conflict, foster harmony, and enhance both personal and professional interactions. Mastery of emotional intelligence allows the protagonist to build trust, inspire confidence, and navigate complex social landscapes with greater skill and grace. Finally, this stage highlights the importance of vision and purpose. The protagonist begins to see connections between individual actions and larger goals, understanding that each choice contributes to a broader life narrative. By maintaining a clear sense of purpose and aligning decisions with long-term aspirations, the protagonist ensures that efforts are meaningful and directed, resulting in a sense of accomplishment and fulfillment. The narrative encourages viewers to consider their own paths, recognize the significance of intentional living, and embrace challenges as opportunities for growth, learning, and meaningful impact. Through these experiences, the protagonist demonstrates that personal and professional development is a dynamic, ongoing process. Growth requires adaptability, strategic thinking, creativity, empathy, and reflection, all guided by a clear sense of purpose and ethical grounding. By embracing these principles, the protagonist continues to evolve, navigate life's complexities, and create a foundation for enduring success, resilience, and fulfillment. As the journey progresses, the protagonist encounters situations that test not only skills and knowledge, but also character and integrity. This stage emphasizes that true growth is not measured solely by accomplishments or recognition, but by the ability to navigate ethical dilemmas, maintain honesty, and uphold personal values even under pressure. The narrative illustrates that challenges often reveal the core of one's character, highlighting the importance of consistency between words, actions, and principles. By facing these moments with courage and discernment, the protagonist strengthens inner resolve and builds a foundation of trust and credibility that influences future opportunities. At this point, the protagonist experiences the delicate balance between ambition and contentment. While striving for excellence and pursuing goals, there is also a growing awareness that fulfillment comes not only from external achievements, but from inner satisfaction, meaningful relationships, and alignment with personal values. The story conveys that a well-rounded approach to life involves appreciating present successes, learning from setbacks, and maintaining gratitude for experiences, big and small. By cultivating this mindset, the protagonist achieves a sense of harmony that complements ambition with emotional well-being. Collaboration and teamwork become central themes. The protagonist discovers that complex problems often require diverse perspectives and collective effort. Engaging with others, listening to alternative viewpoints, and integrating different ideas fosters innovative solutions that might not emerge in isolation. The narrative emphasizes that collaboration is not about relinquishing control, but about leveraging complementary strengths, nurturing mutual respect, and building synergy that enhances outcomes. Through these experiences, the protagonist learns that shared success often has greater impact and lasting value than solitary achievements. Mentorship and guidance play a significant role during this phase. The protagonist seeks advice and support from those with experience, knowledge, and wisdom, recognizing that learning from others' journeys can accelerate personal growth. The story demonstrates that effective mentorship involves both receiving guidance and reflecting critically, integrating lessons while applying them in ways that suit individual circumstances. By cultivating relationships with mentors, the protagonist gains insights, avoids common pitfalls, and navigates complex situations with greater confidence and clarity. Decision-making becomes increasingly nuanced as the protagonist faces scenarios that involve multiple layers of consequences. Choices are rarely black and white. They often require weighing immediate benefits against long-term implications, individual gain against collective welfare, and risk against opportunity. The narrative highlights that careful deliberation, informed judgment, and awareness of potential ripple effects are essential skills at this stage. Through repeated practice, the protagonist develops the ability to make decisions that are balanced, responsible, and aligned with both ethical standards and personal aspirations. The protagonist also learns the power of resilience in the face of adversity. Unexpected setbacks, disappointments, and challenges test persistence and mental fortitude. The narrative shows that resilience is cultivated through experience, reflection, and adaptive strategies, rather than through avoidance of difficulty. By confronting obstacles directly, analyzing what went wrong, and adjusting approaches accordingly, the protagonist strengthens emotional endurance, builds confidence in problem-solving, and develops a mindset oriented toward long-term growth and perseverance. Another focus is the development of effective communication skills. The protagonist navigates increasingly complex interpersonal situations, requiring clarity, empathy, and strategic articulation. The narrative emphasizes that communication is not just about conveying information, but also about fostering understanding, building relationships, and resolving conflict. By practicing attentive listening, thoughtful expression, and situational awareness, the protagonist enhances the ability to influence, inspire, and collaborate with others in ways that are constructive and mutually beneficial. Time management and prioritization gain critical importance. As responsibilities grow and opportunities multiply, the protagonist learns that managing energy and attention effectively is crucial to achieving goals without compromising well-being. The story illustrates strategies such as setting clear objectives, breaking tasks into manageable steps, and allocating focus to high-impact activities. By mastering these skills, the protagonist maximizes productivity, reduces stress, and maintains balance, ensuring that efforts contribute meaningfully to both short-term achievements and long-term aspirations. The narrative also explores the integration of personal passions with professional pursuits. The protagonist discovers that aligning work and projects with intrinsic interests enhances motivation, creativity, and satisfaction. When tasks resonate with personal values and curiosities, engagement deepens, problem-solving becomes more inspired, and resilience in the face of challenges strengthens. This stage conveys that meaningful work is not merely about external recognition or reward, but about cultivating fulfillment through alignment with what one truly values and enjoys. Innovation and adaptability remain central themes. The protagonist encounters situations that demand creative thinking, flexible approaches, and openness to experimentation. The narrative demonstrates that problems rarely have one fixed solution, and that willingness to explore alternatives, take calculated risks, and embrace novel ideas leads to breakthroughs that conventional approaches might miss. This period reinforces the concept that growth involves both learning from past experiences and remaining agile in the face of evolving circumstances. The protagonist also deepens self-awareness, recognizing strengths, weaknesses, and areas for improvement. Reflective practices, feedback from others, and honest self-assessment allow for continuous refinement of skills and strategies. The narrative illustrates that self-awareness is a foundation for personal development, enabling informed decisions, authentic relationships, and intentional actions that align with long-term goals and values. Finally, this phase emphasizes the importance of leaving a positive impact on others and the surrounding environment. The protagonist learns that true success encompasses contributions that go beyond personal gain, creating value, support, and inspiration for others. By acting with integrity, generosity, and mindfulness, the protagonist strengthens social bonds, builds trust, and fosters environments where collective growth is possible. The story encourages viewers to consider how their actions affect not only immediate outcomes but also broader communities, emphasizing the lasting significance of ethical and compassionate behavior. Through these experiences, the protagonist emerges stronger, wiser, and more capable of navigating life's complexities. Growth is portrayed as a dynamic, ongoing process that requires integrity, resilience, creativity, empathy, and reflection. By embracing these principles, the protagonist continues to advance, build meaningful connections, and contribute positively to the world, demonstrating that success and fulfillment are the results of both personal effort and mindful engagement with the larger context of life. As the protagonist moves further along this journey, the focus shifts to the significance of learning from failure and embracing the lessons that come with it. Life, as the story illustrates, is rarely a linear path, and success is often interwoven with setbacks, disappointments, and unexpected twists. Each challenge encountered provides an opportunity to reflect, adapt, and refine approaches. The narrative emphasizes that failure is not a final verdict, but a critical part of growth, a chance to gain insight into personal limits, decision-making patterns, and emotional resilience. By reframing mistakes as learning experiences rather than sources of shame, the protagonist gradually develops a mindset oriented toward continuous improvement and self-compassion. During this phase, the protagonist encounters situations that require strategic thinking and long-term planning. Immediate actions may have consequences that ripple far beyond their initial scope, making foresight and careful consideration essential. The story portrays how weighing potential outcomes, anticipating obstacles, and preparing contingency plans can transform uncertainty into opportunity. By thinking ahead while remaining adaptable, the protagonist navigates complex scenarios with increased confidence and poise. This process also reinforces the importance of patience, demonstrating that sustainable success often emerges from deliberate and thoughtful effort rather than impulsive decisions or short-term gains. The narrative further explores the importance of emotional intelligence in both personal and professional contexts. The protagonist learns to recognize, understand, and manage emotions, both their own and those of others. By cultivating empathy, the protagonist is better able to build meaningful connections, resolve conflicts, and support peers or collaborators. The story demonstrates that emotional awareness contributes to clearer communication, stronger relationships, and more effective leadership. Additionally, the protagonist discovers that managing stress and maintaining composure during difficult situations is key to sustaining focus, making informed decisions, and maintaining credibility. Networking and relationship building take on an increased role at this stage. The protagonist experiences the value of creating connections based on trust, shared goals, and mutual respect. Relationships are depicted not as transactional exchanges, but as ongoing collaborations that provide support, encouragement, and the exchange of knowledge. Through genuine engagement and consistent effort, the protagonist strengthens social networks, gaining access to resources and insights that would not have been available in isolation. The narrative highlights that meaningful connections often play a critical role in achieving ambitions while enriching personal growth. Innovation and creativity remain vital components of progress. Faced with challenges that require unconventional solutions, the protagonist learns to think outside the box and experiment with new methods. The story emphasizes that creativity is not confined to artistic endeavors but is equally crucial in problem-solving, strategy, and communication. By approaching obstacles with curiosity and openness, the protagonist discovers opportunities that might otherwise have been overlooked. The narrative also illustrates the iterative nature of creative work. Ideas are tested, refined, and sometimes abandoned, teaching the protagonist to embrace flexibility and persistence simultaneously. Time and energy management continue to be critical. With increasingly demanding responsibilities, the protagonist realizes that efficiency and prioritization are not merely practical skills but fundamental tools for long-term sustainability. The story demonstrates techniques such as setting clear objectives, delegating when appropriate, and allocating focus to high-value tasks. Through this process, the protagonist maintains a balance between ambition and well-being, ensuring that progress does not come at the expense of health, relationships, or personal satisfaction. By mastering these skills, the protagonist not only achieves tangible results, but also cultivates a sense of control and purpose. Mentorship and guidance remain prominent, reinforcing the lesson that seeking wisdom from experienced individuals accelerates growth. The protagonist learns that mentorship involves active listening, reflection, and the willingness to apply advice thoughtfully. The story highlights that effective mentorship is reciprocal. As the protagonist gains insights, they also contribute their perspectives, questions, and experiences, creating a dynamic learning environment. By leveraging guidance strategically, the protagonist navigates complexities with greater clarity and confidence, avoiding common pitfalls while embracing opportunities for meaningful impact. A key element of this stage is the cultivation of resilience under pressure. The protagonist faces situations that test endurance, adaptability, and emotional stability. The narrative shows that resilience is developed not through avoidance of adversity, but through engagement with it, analyzing setbacks, adjusting strategies, and persisting despite uncertainty. Through these experiences, the protagonist gains self-assurance, confidence in problem-solving, and the ability to recover more swiftly from challenges. The story emphasizes that resilience is a skill that compounds over time, strengthening not only performance but also emotional depth and character integrity. The protagonist also deepens understanding of personal motivation and the factors that drive sustained effort. Recognizing intrinsic motivators, passions, values, and a sense of purpose helps align daily actions with long-term goals. The narrative illustrates that when individuals are attuned to what genuinely inspires them, perseverance becomes easier, focus sharpens, and the capacity to overcome obstacles grows. This stage reinforces that external rewards, while desirable, are secondary to the fulfillment derived from meaningful engagement and alignment with one's core aspirations. The story highlights the importance of adaptability in an ever-changing environment. Circumstances, technologies, and expectations evolve, and the protagonist learns that flexibility is crucial to maintaining relevance and effectiveness. By remaining open to learning, accepting constructive feedback, and embracing change as an opportunity rather than a threat, the protagonist develops agility that enhances problem-solving, decision-making, and creative thinking. The narrative underscores that the capacity to pivot strategically can be a decisive factor in achieving goals and sustaining long-term success. The protagonist experiences the deepening of self-awareness. Through reflection, feedback, and analysis of successes and failures, they gain clarity about strengths, weaknesses, and areas for growth. This self-knowledge enables more informed decision-making, authentic interactions, and intentional personal development. The story conveys that self-awareness is not a static state but a continuous process of observation, evaluation, and refinement that supports both personal fulfillment and effective engagement with others. Finally, the narrative emphasizes the significance of leaving a positive legacy and contributing to the wider community. The protagonist recognizes that success encompasses more than individual achievements. It includes the impact one has on others, the inspiration provided, and the value added to communities. Ethical behavior, integrity, and empathy are portrayed as essential elements of lasting influence. By considering the broader consequences of actions, supporting others, and acting conscientiously, the protagonist demonstrates that true accomplishment integrates personal growth with meaningful contributions to society. Through these experiences, the protagonist solidifies skills, values, and insights that prepare them for the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead. The journey illustrates that growth is dynamic, multifaceted, and ongoing, relying on resilience, creativity, reflection, and authentic engagement with others. By embracing these principles, the protagonist continues to evolve, foster meaningful relationships, and achieve progress that is both personally fulfilling and positively impactful, reinforcing the narrative's central theme that sustainable success is built on a foundation of wisdom, empathy, and intentional action. As the protagonist progresses, the story delves deeper into the significance of strategic decision-making and the careful balancing of ambition with ethical responsibility. Every choice carries consequences that extend beyond immediate circumstances, and the narrative emphasizes the value of foresight in both personal and professional endeavors. By learning to anticipate potential outcomes, evaluate risks, and align actions with core values, the protagonist gains a stronger sense of agency over their journey. This stage illustrates that informed and principled decisions are foundational to long-term success and the cultivation of trust, credibility, and meaningful relationships. During this period, the protagonist encounters opportunities that demand critical thinking, adaptability, and creative problem-solving. The story portrays situations where conventional solutions fall short, requiring innovative approaches that combine knowledge, intuition, and experience. Through trial, reflection, and iteration, the protagonist discovers that flexibility and resourcefulness are as important as preparation. The narrative underscores that creativity is not merely an artistic trait, but a practical tool for navigating complex scenarios and achieving objectives in ways that resonate with authenticity and effectiveness. Collaboration and communication emerge as central themes. The protagonist learns that working with others, whether peers, mentors, or partners, requires clarity, empathy, and active listening. The story illustrates how collaborative efforts, built on mutual respect and shared goals, amplify potential and generate outcomes that surpass individual efforts. Conflict, misunderstandings, and differing perspectives are inevitable, but the protagonist's growing ability to navigate these dynamics with patience, diplomacy, and open-mindedness fosters stronger connections and a more cohesive environment. These lessons reveal the importance of emotional intelligence, adaptability, and effective dialogue in achieving both personal fulfillment and shared success. Simultaneously, the protagonist's understanding of self-discipline and consistent effort deepens. The narrative portrays the value of persistence, focus, and the deliberate cultivation of habits that support long-term objectives. By prioritizing key tasks, managing distractions, and committing to incremental progress, the protagonist learns that meaningful achievements are rarely instantaneous. This stage reinforces the principle that small, consistent actions compound over time, ultimately yielding results that reflect dedication, patience, and strategic foresight. Resilience remains a vital theme. As new challenges arise, the protagonist experiences moments of doubt, setbacks, and unexpected obstacles. The story illustrates that resilience is not the absence of difficulty, but the capacity to persevere through it while maintaining composure and clarity of purpose. By embracing adversity as an opportunity to learn, the protagonist strengthens problem-solving skills, emotional fortitude, and the ability to adapt strategies under pressure. This process emphasizes that resilience is cultivated through experience, reflection, and a willingness to confront rather than avoid difficulties. A deeper exploration of values and purpose unfolds at this stage. The protagonist reflects on what truly matters, distinguishing between superficial achievements and meaningful contributions. The story emphasizes that fulfillment arises from aligning actions with personal principles, fostering integrity, and positively impacting others. By focusing on purposeful engagement rather than mere recognition or reward, the protagonist develops a sense of direction and clarity that guides decision-making, nurtures motivation, and shapes interactions with the wider world. This focus on values serves as a compass for both personal growth and societal contribution. The narrative also addresses the importance of adaptability in a rapidly changing environment. The protagonist observes that circumstances, technology, and social dynamics are continually evolving, and the ability to respond effectively requires openness, flexibility, and continuous learning. By embracing change as an opportunity for growth rather than a threat, the protagonist enhances problem-solving abilities, creativity, and strategic thinking. This stage reinforces that adaptability is not passive compliance, but an active, thoughtful response that allows one to navigate complexity with confidence and intentionality. Mentorship and knowledge sharing continue to play a pivotal role. The protagonist engages with mentors, advisors, and experienced peers to gain insights, challenge assumptions, and expand understanding. The story highlights that effective mentorship involves active listening, critical reflection, and the thoughtful application of advice. Moreover, the protagonist learns that mentorship is reciprocal. By sharing experiences, perspectives, and support, they contribute to a learning ecosystem that benefits both parties. These interactions reinforce the value of collaboration, humility, and continuous personal development. Time and resource management become increasingly critical. The protagonist is confronted with competing priorities, deadlines, and responsibilities, necessitating careful allocation of energy and focus. The story illustrates practical strategies such as goal setting, task prioritization, delegation, and mindful use of resources. By mastering these skills, the protagonist maintains equilibrium between ambition and well-being, ensuring sustained progress without sacrificing health, relationships, or personal satisfaction. This stage highlights that effective management of time and resources is a cornerstone of both efficiency and long-term success. The narrative emphasizes the development of empathy and social awareness. The protagonist recognizes the importance of understanding the perspectives, needs, and emotions of others. By cultivating empathy, the protagonist strengthens relationships, builds trust, and navigates complex social dynamics with greater ease. The story demonstrates that emotional awareness enhances communication, collaboration, and leadership, allowing the protagonist to influence positively while fostering mutual respect and cooperation. This heightened social intelligence becomes a key asset in achieving objectives and supporting collective success. Ethical reflection and integrity are explored in greater depth. The protagonist encounters scenarios where moral judgment is tested, and the narrative highlights the significance of acting with honesty, fairness, and responsibility. By making choices aligned with ethical principles, the protagonist maintains credibility, cultivates trust, and contributes positively to the broader community. The story underscores that integrity is not a static trait but an active practice requiring vigilance, reflection, and commitment, ultimately shaping reputation, influence, and the lasting impact of one's actions. Finally, the story continues to reinforce the theme of legacy and contribution. The protagonist contemplates the broader implications of their actions, recognizing that lasting success is measured not solely by personal accomplishments but also by the positive influence one has on others. By acting conscientiously, sharing knowledge, and supporting growth in those around them, the protagonist begins to create a meaningful and enduring legacy. The narrative illustrates that the combination of strategic insight, resilience, empathy, and ethical action forms the foundation for sustainable, impactful success that resonates beyond the individual. Through these experiences, the protagonist consolidates lessons learned from prior stages while expanding capabilities in strategic thinking, ethical judgment, collaboration, and self-awareness. The journey emphasizes that growth is iterative, dynamic, and multifaceted, relying on a combination of reflection, action, and purposeful engagement with the world. By integrating these principles, the protagonist moves forward with clarity, confidence, and a deeper understanding of the interplay between ambition, responsibility, and the pursuit of meaningful outcomes. As the protagonist advances further along their journey, the focus shifts toward the integration of accumulated knowledge and experience into a coherent framework for decision-making and action. This stage emphasizes the importance of synthesizing lessons learned, reflecting on both successes and missteps, and applying them in ways that enhance effectiveness and alignment with long-term goals. The narrative illustrates that growth is not merely the accumulation of skills or accomplishments, but the thoughtful application of insights to navigate increasingly complex situations. At this juncture, the protagonist encounters challenges that require a deeper understanding of context and nuance. Rather than relying solely on prior strategies, they must analyze circumstances holistically, considering multiple perspectives, underlying patterns, and potential ripple effects of each choice. This approach fosters a more sophisticated level of reasoning, where intuition is guided by experience and action is informed by both analysis and empathy. The story highlights that such a mindset allows for more adaptable and responsible decision-making, enabling the protagonist to respond proactively rather than reactively to changing conditions. Communication and influence become increasingly significant. The protagonist recognizes that the ability to convey ideas clearly, listen actively, and inspire others is essential for achieving collective goals. Through interactions with peers, collaborators, and those they lead, the protagonist refines the art of persuasion, negotiation, and constructive feedback. The narrative demonstrates that influence is most effective when rooted in trust, transparency, and mutual respect, reinforcing that authentic leadership stems from integrity, empathy, and consistent action. rather than coercion or authority alone. The theme of innovation is prominent at this stage. Faced with new and unpredictable challenges, the protagonist is encouraged to think creatively, question assumptions, and explore unconventional solutions. The story underscores that innovation is not limited to technical or artistic endeavors. It encompasses the ability to reframe problems, adapt processes, and discover new pathways that align with both immediate needs and overarching objectives. By embracing experimentation and learning from failure, the protagonist cultivates resilience and flexibility, transforming obstacles into opportunities for growth and advancement. The protagonist also deepens their appreciation for collaboration and network building. By engaging with a diverse range of individuals, they gain access to varied perspectives, resources, and support systems that amplify their potential impact. The narrative illustrates that fostering meaningful connections requires active listening, reciprocity, and a willingness to invest time and energy in others' growth as well. These relationships serve not only as a source of knowledge and assistance, but also as a framework for mutual accountability, encouragement, and shared achievement. Self-awareness and emotional intelligence continue to develop at this stage. The protagonist reflects on their strengths, weaknesses, motivations, and behavioral patterns, seeking to align actions with values and purpose. The story portrays moments of introspection, where the protagonist assesses emotional responses, identifies triggers, and cultivates strategies for maintaining composure, focus, and resilience. By deepening self-awareness, the protagonist is better equipped to manage stress, navigate complex interpersonal dynamics, and make decisions that are both ethical and effective. Time management and prioritization remain critical skills. As responsibilities multiply and opportunities expand, the protagonist learns to allocate energy and attention strategically, distinguishing between urgent tasks and those that offer long-term value. The narrative emphasizes that deliberate planning, goal setting, and the disciplined execution of priorities enable sustainable progress without sacrificing well-being or relationships. By mastering these competencies, the protagonist ensures that effort is concentrated where it yields the most meaningful results, maintaining balance while pursuing ambitious objectives. Ethical decision-making is explored with increasing depth. The protagonist encounters situations where trade-offs and competing interests test moral judgment. The story illustrates that acting with integrity, even when faced with difficult choices, strengthens credibility, fosters trust, and reinforces a sense of purpose. The protagonist learns that ethics is not merely about adhering to rules, but involves deliberate reflection on the consequences of actions for oneself and others. This stage reinforces that principled decision-making is foundational to both personal fulfillment and societal contribution. The protagonist's understanding of leadership evolves. Beyond simply guiding others, they learn to inspire, mentor, and empower those around them, fostering an environment that encourages growth, innovation, and collaboration. The story highlights that effective leadership is rooted in listening, empathy, clear communication, and the ability to balance vision with practical action. By modeling consistency, accountability, and ethical behavior, the protagonist cultivates influence that is both respected and enduring, leaving a positive imprint on teams, communities, and collaborators. Continuous learning emerges as a central theme. The protagonist recognizes that knowledge and skills must be updated and expanded to remain relevant and effective. By actively seeking new information, reflecting on experiences, and embracing feedback, they develop adaptability, sharpen critical thinking, and reinforce a growth-oriented mindset. The narrative underscores that learning is not confined to formal education or training, but occurs through observation, practice, reflection, and engagement with diverse perspectives. This commitment to lifelong learning ensures that the protagonist remains capable, informed, and prepared for the evolving demands of their journey. The protagonist also develops strategic foresight, anticipating potential challenges and opportunities before they arise. By analyzing trends, considering various scenarios, and preparing contingency plans, they gain a proactive rather than reactive stance. The story illustrates that foresight enables the protagonist to navigate uncertainty with confidence, make informed decisions, and capitalize on opportunities that others may overlook. This ability to anticipate and prepare strengthens resilience, enhances decision-making, and increases the likelihood of achieving both immediate and long-term objectives. Finally, the narrative emphasizes the cultivation of legacy and meaningful contribution. The protagonist reflects on the broader impact of their actions, seeking to create positive, enduring effects beyond personal gain. Through mentoring, collaboration, ethical action, and purposeful engagement, they contribute to the growth and well-being of others, while solidifying their own sense of purpose and fulfillment. The story illustrates that true success encompasses not only individual achievement, but also the ability to leave a lasting, beneficial mark on the people, communities, and systems they interact with. Through these experiences, the protagonist consolidates insights from previous stages, while expanding capacities in leadership, ethical judgment, strategic thinking, and personal growth. The journey emphasizes that development is cumulative, interconnected, and ongoing, relying on reflection, deliberate action, and meaningful engagement with the world. By integrating these lessons, the protagonist moves forward with clarity, confidence, and a comprehensive understanding of how ambition, responsibility, and purpose intersect to shape a life of impact and fulfillment. As the journey progresses into its final stages, the protagonist turns attention to the importance of reflection and consolidation of the lessons accumulated throughout their experiences. This phase emphasizes the careful examination of both achievements and setbacks, analyzing patterns, and understanding the underlying factors that contributed to various outcomes. The narrative shows that this process of introspection is not a passive act, but a dynamic engagement with one's history, providing insights that inform future decisions and strategies. By reflecting on past experiences, the protagonist gains clarity, learns to recognize recurring challenges, and identifies strengths that can be leveraged in subsequent endeavors. At this stage, the protagonist also cultivates resilience in a deeper, more intentional manner. While earlier phases highlighted the ability to adapt and recover from immediate obstacles, this stage focuses on building a sustained capacity to navigate prolonged uncertainty and complex challenges. Through moments of introspection, trial, and adaptation, the protagonist strengthens mental endurance, emotional stability, and strategic patience. The story illustrates that resilience is not only about bouncing back, but also about maintaining clarity of purpose, composure, and a forward-looking mindset, even when confronted with setbacks that are unexpected or prolonged. Collaboration and mentorship play a pivotal role during this phase. The protagonist increasingly recognizes the value of sharing knowledge, supporting others, growth, and building a network that multiplies collective impact. The narrative highlights how fostering trust, open communication, and mutual respect within teams or communities creates environments where innovation and shared achievement can thrive. By investing in others, the protagonist not only enhances their own effectiveness but also contributes to the development of sustainable systems and communities that are capable of facing challenges collectively. The integration of creativity and strategic thinking becomes particularly pronounced. The protagonist is encouraged to approach problems from multiple angles, combining innovative solutions with carefully considered planning. The story demonstrates that by blending analytical rigor with imaginative exploration, the protagonist can devise approaches that are both effective and adaptable. This ability to navigate uncertainty with creativity ensures that challenges do not become stagnation points, but rather opportunities to discover new possibilities and paths forward. Emotional intelligence continues to deepen, emphasizing the nuanced understanding of interpersonal dynamics. The protagonist refines the ability to interpret subtle cues, manage conflict constructively, and respond empathetically to others' needs and perspectives. The narrative portrays instances where effective emotional navigation directly influences outcomes, demonstrating that intelligence alone is insufficient without the capacity to understand, connect with, and inspire those around them. This stage reinforces that true leadership is as much about empathy and connection as it is about knowledge and skill. Time management, prioritization, and balance are further explored. With growing responsibilities and a broader vision for impact, the protagonist learns to distinguish between immediate demands and long-term goals, ensuring that effort is applied where it generates the most meaningful results. The story emphasizes the importance of maintaining personal well-being, relationships, and purpose alongside ambition, reinforcing that sustainable progress is achieved not through relentless effort alone, but through mindful, disciplined, and strategic action. The protagonist also navigates ethical complexities with heightened sophistication. Encounters with morally ambiguous situations test judgment, forcing the protagonist to weigh consequences, intentions, and the broader impact of actions. The narrative demonstrates that ethical decision-making is a continuous process requiring awareness, reflection, and courage. By consistently aligning actions with principles and values, the protagonist reinforces credibility, trust, and personal integrity, establishing a foundation for meaningful leadership and influence. As the journey nears its culmination, the theme of legacy emerges prominently. The protagonist reflects on the enduring effects of their choices, seeking to create positive outcomes that extend beyond immediate success. Through mentoring, community engagement, and principled action, they contribute to the development of others, the strengthening of systems, and the enhancement of collective well-being. The story emphasizes that true fulfillment is measured not only by personal achievements, but also by the lasting impact one has on people, communities, and the broader environment. In parallel, the protagonist embraces lifelong learning as a core principle, recognizing that change is constant and that knowledge and skills can always be expanded. They continue to seek growth through exploration, reflection, and engagement with new ideas. The narrative shows that curiosity, humility, and openness are essential to staying relevant and effective, ensuring that the protagonist remains adaptable and capable in the face of evolving circumstances. By committing to continuous learning, they cultivate a mindset that is both agile and forward-looking. Finally, the journey culminates in the integration of vision, purpose, and action. The protagonist synthesizes insights from experience, reflection, mentorship, creativity, and ethical deliberation to operate with clarity, confidence, and intentionality. Decisions are guided by principles, strategic foresight, and a deep understanding of both personal and collective objectives. The story conveys that fulfillment and impact are not incidental, but the result of deliberate alignment between knowledge, action, values, and vision. Through this integration, the protagonist demonstrates that a meaningful life is constructed through conscious, consistent, and thoughtful engagement with the world, leaving a legacy that reflects both achievement and purpose. By weaving together the threads of growth, resilience, leadership, ethics, creativity, and lifelong learning, the protagonist's journey offers a comprehensive depiction of how experience, reflection, and intentional action coalesce to produce not just success, but significance. The narrative closes with an understanding that development is never truly complete. It is a dynamic, ongoing process that evolves with time, experience, and engagement. In embracing this philosophy, the protagonist embodies a model of continuous growth, principled action, and meaningful contribution that serves as inspiration for those who follow, demonstrating that the true measure of a journey lies not only in where it leads, but in the manner, insight, and integrity with which it is undertaken. Thank you so much for taking the time to follow today's story. If you found the content interesting and helpful, do not forget to like to support the channel and subscribe so you won't miss our upcoming videos. Every single support from you is a huge motivation for us to continue sharing, engaging, and meaningful stories. See you in the next video.